Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, uh-oh. Hold on a second. Hello? Dean Crespi, how are you? I should turn my cell phone off. Right, this is a good time for that. And I should tell everybody else maybe this is a good time to turn your cell phones off. Got it. Okay, we'll get right on that. Thank you, sir. He is my boss, so if you would turn your cell phones off, it'd be greatly appreciated. All right. Well, an event like this takes hard work, planning, and dedication, and I'd like to recognize some of the College of Business staff for their time and efforts on this event. Please hold your applause until the very end, and then feel free to cut loose. Tonight you're going to see some great pictures, you're going to see some great video. Kara Cook and Kurt Behringer are responsible for that. If you could raise your hand, please. There's Kurt. And where's Kara? Ah, there she is. She's taking pictures, of course. And one of my favorites, the Senior Development Officer, Sandy Summer. I'm going to call her the mastermind of this event and many other events like this. And her team of dedicated staff, Julie Judge, and last but certainly not least, Cindy Howard. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you for all the time and effort you guys put into this event. And now, I'd like to introduce to you the Dean of the College of Business in his fourth year at the helm. Dean Crespi has shown great vision, leadership, and a steady hand at the wheel. Under his leadership, the College of Business is heading due north and with great momentum. Let's welcome to the stage, Dean Crespi.
Good evening. Thanks, Mike, for those kind words. Allow me to share my welcome to this evening's festivities. Although we have many distinguished guests with us this evening, including President Ross and Provost Gelt, it is my distinct pleasure to recognize CMU trustee, Mr. Bill Wiedemann, and chairman of our development board, Mr. Paul Richards. And of course, the college would not be what it is today were it not for the fine faculty and staff of the entire college. I humbly ask that you all stand and be recognized. This year marks the 121st anniversary of CMU and the 53rd anniversary of the College of Business. CMU is a story of progress. We began as a tiny normal school in downtown Mount Pleasant, and in all likelihood will grow to be the third largest institution of higher learning in the state of Michigan next year. We have much to make us proud, not the least of which is an award-winning College of Business. I encourage you to take a look at the latest issues of the Exchange magazine that chronicle just how far we've come. They are on the table before you. Part of this unrelenting march forward is our effort to tell our story and to tell it well. With the inaugural class of our Hall of Fame, we begin to chronicle our history in the college and the individuals who have guided the development of not only our physical facilities, but also have guided our vision, our mission, and our core values. And perhaps most important, we recognize those peoples whose lives have served as an inspiration for the generation that follows. What drives the fine men and women of the College of Business is a desire to make a difference in the lives of our students and the well-being of our state. On our website and in our hearts, we hold a common mission. We strive to mold the character and intellect of the next generation of leaders for Michigan and beyond. With this, the inaugural class of the College of Business Hall of Fame, we shine a bright spotlight on the role models for our students, For part of molding the character and intellect of the next generation of business leaders is to paint a clear picture of what integrity, leadership, vision, and community spirit look like. I can think of no finer examples of true leaders than the two gentlemen we are here tonight to honor. So, for many of the students in the audience tonight, the challenge before you is to live the kind of life that Leonard and Roger so graciously exemplify. I also want to offer my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to those of you here tonight, those of you who nominated worthy individuals for the Hall of Fame, those of you who have written letters of support on behalf of those nominees, and those of you who have served on the committee that did the arduous work of vetting the nominees and selecting tonight's honorees. As a group, you embody the spirit of our academic institution, whose motto of wisdom, virtue, and friendship certainly represent the hope of what we would like to imbue on all who walk through our doors. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Mr. Scott Pranger, the namesake of our new recognition hall. Scott is a 1983 graduate. While at CMU, he divided his attention between his role as a student and that of an NCAA athlete. He excelled in both of those arenas. Since leaving CMU, Scott has led an extraordinary business career. Today, Scott oversees several business ventures, ones he has built through dogged determination, inspiration, and of course, perspiration. Businesses like EQI. How do you thank someone who helped turn a dream into a reality? As we were contemplating the thought of recognizing our most distinguished alumni and our most distinguished faculty, we worked with Scott. His gracious gift helped us make this evening possible. Today, the Pranger Recognition Hall on the ground floor of Grawn Hall is equipped with state-of-the-art touchscreen technology that enables the viewer to study the history of our college and know more about those whose strength of character helped make our college, our university, and our community a better place. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Scott Pranger.
Good evening. Thank you, Chuck, for that warm introduction. What a pleasure it is for me to participate in the event and to once again rekindle all the feelings and emotions that emerged from one's college years. As Chuck mentioned, I'm a 1983 graduate, majored in finance, minored in accounting. I think there were some chasing girls in there too, but I was trained to measure the return on resources and assets to the value of an institution. So when I wander the campus these days, I see much progress. President Ross, I congratulate you, your colleagues, and your predecessors for the transformation of this university, not only the physical facilities, but also the academic programs. Like most of you, I reflect back on my time here at CMU fondly. I built friendships that have carried through my life. I've formed work habits that have helped me develop a measure of success. And I can still recollect stories of my time here that still warm my heart, most of which I can't share this evening. Part of what I am today has been shaped by my experiences with coaches, teachers, mentors, and friends in the crucible of both the classroom and intercollegiate athletics. It is often said that life is like a grindstone. It can either wear you down or can polish you up. We are here tonight to honor those who dedicated their lives not to grinding people down, but to helping them shine. This evening's inductees are very special individuals. They found joy in their life's work, yet perhaps much more important, they brought joy to the lives of those they touched by helping them find direction in life. For me, it's an honor to be able to support a mechanism that honors those who have played such an important role in the lives of so many. The College of Business Hall of Fame will stand as an enduring legacy to iconic figure of the college, and I'm humbled to have my name associated with these fine individuals and the noble role they played in the important work of the university. Thank you.
I recently had the pleasure to meet Bruce Marble, and I'm very proud that he's one of our CMU alumni. Bruce earned his marketing degree in 1975 and then his MBA, also from CMU, in 1976. Bruce had an illustrious career at Dow Corning for 33 years, holding a variety of executive roles and positions. Before he retired, he was the Dow Corning Global Director of Sales for the Life Sciences business. And now, Bruce is dedicating much of his time and effort by giving back to his alma mater. That's right, CMU, the College of Business at CMU. Bruce is the chairman of the College of Business Roundtable and serves as a mentor in residence. Let's give a warm welcome to our own Bruce Marble.
Good evening. Thank you, Mike, for those kind words. Let me start by saying, first of all, I'm delighted and honored, frankly, to be here this evening to participate in this celebration and recognizing two outstanding individuals who have been a part of CMU and the College of Business. It's also been my honor to chair the Business Roundtable. This is a small team of about 7 to 8 former CMU alumni who some are retired like myself, some are still working. And we're trying to work with Chuck Crespi and Dan Vetter and their staff to build close ties with the business community and with the College of Business. So it's a very rewarding activity, and recently Chuck came to the team and asked us to oversee the process of reviewing and vetting the applications that came forward for the inaugural class of the Hall of Fame. So we recognized it as a very significant and important challenge to make the right selection. And I just want to give you a brief perspective of that. We really relied a lot on our business experience and our history and knowledge of the College of Business and of CMU, looking at the career contributions and impact of the individuals in the nominations that came forward. Although there were many nominations that were worthy and, in fact, very impressive, the roundtable, in the end, unanimously forwarded the two names that we are here tonight to honor. I also would like to mention that it is exciting, it's encouraging to be able to see the types of nominations, and there's a number that clearly are very worthy in the list that we looked at of being recognized in the Hall of Fame for the College of Business. And I have no doubt in the years ahead that we will see many of them, perhaps, joining this distinguished group in this honor. So, Chuck, I would ask you to come back up so that we can begin to introduce this evening's honorees.
The brief videos that you're about to see will be posted on the touchscreen monitor in the Pranger Recognition Hallway, as well as biographical sketches that will chronicle the accomplishments of the honorees we discussed tonight.
This evening's first inductee is Roger Kessler. Roger is our inaugural alumni honoree.
Roger graduated from CMU in 1958 with a degree in accounting. A meteoric rise across a long career led Roger to become CFO and controller of the Dow Chemical Company.
Roger served as a CMU trustee between 1991 and 2007. He also served as vice chair and later chairman of the trustees from 1992 through 1997. This was a period of great progress both for CMU and for the College of Business. A few details of that progress are chronicled in the video testimonial that we have queued up. So let's take a look.
I first met Roger Kessler when I joined the University Development Board in the year 2004. At the time, he was chair of a capital campaign that went on to raise over $80 million for the university with a goal of 50. I learned very quickly that when Roger Kessler speaks, everybody listens.
He's contributed so much, and one thing that allowed me when I first got involved with the development committee was to see someone and identify him as a role model to what I wanted to do and how I wanted to contribute.
Seeing his support and advocacy of the vision for the university, his support for it, both from his time standpoint and certainly monetarily, how he has supported the university. He's just been a terrific proponent of it.
Roger came back to Midland with the Dow Chemical Company as controller back in the early 80s, and immediately after his getting back here, we asked him to come and work with us in the School of Accounting in creating the School of Accounting Advisory Committee. And Roger was very instrumental in helping us get that going, set some directions for our students, help expand their career opportunities, and just did a great job.
From a personal perspective, Roger, I'd also like to say a big thank you personally on the impact that you had on my career. During my early time in my career, you gave me a lot of coaching, you challenged me, and you gave me a lot of opportunities throughout the company.
I think there are three things that stand out to me about Roger. One is his development of people. The other is his coaching of people, and I use that word instead of managing. And the third is just the value set that he operates from all the time.
I remember my son meeting him, a U of M graduate, fresh U of M graduate, spent 15 minutes with him at a football game and walked away saying, "That guy is amazing." And I think it's a pretty accurate assessment. He really is.
I saw him as a young employee. I watched Roger as the controller of the Dow Chemical Company. He had tremendous respect of his peers, of his supervisor, which was the CEO, and of the board of directors. On a personal level, he also mentored me, and I remember him saying very clearly, you need to understand the gossip and the rumors around, but you don't need to be part of them.
You entered Dow after graduating from CMU as an entry-level accountant, and you rose to corporate controller of Dow Chemical Company, a Fortune 50 company, and you remain, as you know, the youngest individual to ever hold that role. And you served in that role for many years, and through your leadership at Dow, you built a world-class finance organization.
You always knew where Roger stood, and you knew it was with utmost integrity. You could trust Roger, you could trust what he said. And it was integrity. He never took the shortcut, whether it be in business practices, in relations with governments around the world, whether it's with suppliers, or whether it's with safety. It was always with integrity. So on behalf of all the people who were proud to call themselves members of Roger's team, I give congratulations from all of us.
We really appreciated Roger's strong support for CMU, for athletics, for the College of Business Administration, and for public broadcasting. He's been a great friend.
I serve on the University Development Board. If I'm searching for an answer or I'm struggling with a decision that has to be made, first thing I think of is, what would Roger say? What would Roger Kessler do?
Go Team Roger. Congratulations.
And here to receive the honor on Roger's behalf is his daughter, Maureen DeYoung. Maureen.
I didn't know what to expect when I saw that, and that was beautiful. So thank you. I saw many familiar faces that I've known since my childhood, Steve Constantine and Mr. Wiedemann, I remember. Thank you for all those beautiful tributes. On behalf of my dad, Roger Kessler, I'm so honored to be here tonight to receive this award. My mom, my three siblings, and I have always said that our dad bleeds maroon and gold, and he's so proud of his Chippewa education. He was so looking forward to attending this event. We've had it on our calendar since as soon as he received the email for all of us to save the date. But unfortunately, on November 6th, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the next day, he started chemotherapy in Texas, and he'll remain there till his treatment's done. And we look forward to his return back to the great northern Michigan in June. We've always been so proud of our father and his accomplishments, and this award is truly the pinnacle of his dedication and hard work. As you know, he came to CMU from Grayling, Michigan, and graduated in 1958. He and my mom lived in married housing. My first sister was born, and we have pictures of her outside married housing when he graduated. He was in the ROTC program and graduated as a second lieutenant when he graduated in 58, and then went on to have a long career with Dow Chemical from 1959 to 1997. My parents have always instilled in us the importance of giving back and the importance of education and making a difference in the world. And as a result, our mom and dad have endowed a scholarship that's been going on for 12 years where they give a full ride to a Grayling High School graduate to attend Central Michigan University. And that is quite awesome to be part of and see so many kids from Grayling, Michigan get the gift of a Central Michigan education. When I spoke with my father last night by phone, I asked him for any special remarks he'd like me to convey. He wanted to acknowledge that a successful college, such as the business college within a strong university, can only happen with an outstanding faculty. I'm a teacher myself, so. And a talented student body and a visionary administration. He is so honored to be receiving this award at the same time as Dr. Leonard Plachta, and thanks former President Dr. Mike Rao and current President Dr. George Ross for their continued leadership for this outstanding university, as well as his fellow board members past and present that he served with. Again, thank you. And one other final message he asked was, I convey, was fire up chips. So yeah, absolutely. He sent a video message from Lake Jackson, Texas, the same community where we lived for 8 years in the 70s when he worked for Dow Chemical, and he and my mom moved back there to spend their winters and since 2005, where two of my siblings reside in the same neighborhood. We call it the Kessler compound, where we walk between houses every Christmas. So before I do that, also I want to recognize two of his brothers, Jim and George, are here from Saginaw and Lansing, Michigan, along with their wives, and his sister-in-law, Georgia, of his wife of his youngest brother, who passed away this summer, and her daughter, Cindy. And then he's so very proud to have a grandson that is a Chippewa, that's a sophomore at Central Michigan, Will Bowman, from Oklahoma. And then our youngest daughter, Molly, who he is currently working on to become a Chippewa, who's in high school in Traverse City, and my husband, Doug. And one little quick aside before the video message, I heard the word integrity, and I hear the word humble when it comes to my dad. It was last fall, we were moving Will in from Oklahoma to Kessler Hall, surprise, surprise, and we were putting together the futons and the lamps, and his resident assistant walks in named Quentin. And those of you that know my dad well, always has his CMU baseball cap on. And he walks in and he's like, "Oh, well, welcome to CMU." And he asked my dad, "Oh, are you familiar with the university at all?" And my dad, and my sister and I were just sitting there like, "Oh, here it comes. How long before we're going to hear it?" And he's like, yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah. He goes like, "Oh, there have been so many great things that have happened over the past, 16 to 20 years," and starts listing some of the wonderful accomplishments of the university and how the campus has changed since he graduated in 58. And my dad just stood there and, listened and smiled. And he said, "Oh, I see, you have a CMU cap on. Did you go there?" And my dad said, "Yes, I did." And, he continued to, it was wonderful. Whoever that R.A. Quinton is, he sold your university beautifully. And so then he's like, "Oh, and what's your name?" And he started shaking my father's hand. He's like, "Oh, well, I'm Roger Kessler." And all of a sudden the handshake started going slower and slower. And he goes, "As in the Roger Kessler?" And he goes, "Yeah." And all of a sudden Quentin started shaking his hand fast. He goes, and then he gave my dad a hug. He goes, "I love you, man." And my dad goes, well, I love you too, Quentin. And so that's how that interaction ended. But it was just such a neat thing. It's so neat for all of us, for Kessler kids, just to see the impact he's made on the university. And I think any detour we ever took as kids always involved going through the campus and having to show us something special. So thank you so very much. Hopefully next year he can be here at the ceremony for the next group of inductees. But without any further ado, here's his greeting from Lake Jackson, Texas.
From the studios of Dixon Kessler in downtown Lake Jackson, Texas. Greetings to my friends and family and other members who are in attendance at this gathering of the inaugural Hall of Fame. I'm deeply indebted to Dean Chuck Crispy for informing me of having been part of the inaugural class along with Dr. Leonard Plachta. And Dr. Leonard Plachta is a person that I have great admiration for and a long-term friendship. I just wanted you to know the reason I'm using this method to communicate to you this evening is that we're creating this DVD here in the Nixon Kessler General Insurance Agency conference room, and son Mike is doing the taping. And this DVD is a way or a backup just in case I'm not able to attend in person. I desperately want to attend, but circumstances may prevent that. As some of you may know, I received a preliminary diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and tomorrow, November 6th, I'm going to get the final diagnosis and the treatment regimen. I want to acknowledge the presence of our daughter, Maureen DeYoung, and her husband, Doug, and their daughter, Molly. Incidentally, Molly and I share the same birthday. Also have a grandson here, Will Bowman, who's a second-year student at CMU. The only grandchild so far that's accepted coming to CMU. We had a deal. If you come to CMU, I'll pay the full cost of going to college. Also, I think two of my brothers will be in the audience and their families, as well as my sister-in-law. Now, a younger brother, Tom, died of cancer back in July, and so his wife, Georgia, is here along with her daughter. I just want you to know that I'm deeply honored to be part of this inaugural class. This is something that I would consider one of the highest honors I've ever received. And to be part of the inaugural Hall of Fame with my good friend Leonard Plachta is especially significant to me. I spent the 70s in Texas, and in 1979 transferred back to Midland, Michigan in my time with the Dow Chemical Company. Shortly after we returned, I was named controller and vice president, and in the early 80s, Bob Rulon said that Leonard Plachta would like to meet with me and have a session on the possibility of being involved in raising capital for the Applied Business Studies Complex. Well, that was going to be a $1.5 million project, and the idea of having an Applied Business Studies Complex, I think, underscores the vision that Leonard had in trying to change the College of Business and expand its wings, so to speak. Fast forward a little bit, Dow Chemical went into the SAP, that's a software company from Germany, and we decided we would make that part of our logistics and sales and financial software. It's an integrated software, very sophisticated, and I approached some of the faculty members at the College of Business about including SAP in the curriculum. And I couldn't believe the positive reception we got. And we worked on it over time, and eventually that became one of the, let's say, premier additions to the curriculum. So I want to finish by saying how honored I am to be part of this inaugural class of the Hall of Fame. And I'm very proud to be a CMU graduate of the College of Business and of the university. And all I can say is fire up chips.
The last one, we kept this level for you, Chuck. This one, we're going to keep this level so I can see out a little better. Okay? Our second inductee is Leonard Plachta. Leonard is our inaugural faculty inductee.
Leonard earned his PhD from Michigan State University in 1964. An exemplary rise across a long career led Leonard to become chair of the School of Accounting, dean of the College of Business, and ultimately president of Central Michigan University.
Leonard played pivotal roles in the expansion of the college, both in its enrollment and in its physical footprint. As president, Leonard led a reorganization of the colleges and built a more student-focused culture on the campus. Leonard was among the first to identify students as customers. Again, a few details of that transformation are chronicled in the video testimonial that we have queued up. Let's take a look.
When I was, I guess, a junior, one of my dreams was to get into the business school, and I was able to sit down with Dr. Plachta, and he was the dean of the college at the time, and he gave me some advice on what I needed to do and how to get into the school and what I needed to do to be successful. If there's a path anywhere that I can trace back to a point in my time that got me on this track, it was that conversation that I had with Dr. Plachta.
You could see in his actions that he basically had expectations of you that you knew what you were talking about. He had a wry sense of humor, very focused, and I think that the kind of guy that serves both the students and the university very well.
I mean, he came through the ranks. He received a PhD from Michigan State. He had been at the University of Detroit and Alma College before he came here. So when he entered Central Michigan University in the 1970s, he entered at the rank of full professor. But he had the perspective of a longtime faculty member when he became dean in 1980.
I could tell you that he had a love and passion to work with students to make them successful in a business career.
Way back in the 70s when I was in the business school, and at that time I was one of 4 women in the business school, if you can believe that. And Dr. Plachta was my accounting professor, and I really thought I would hate accounting and it would be really boring, and honestly Dr. Plachta was my favorite professor. He was inspiring as a teacher, and somehow he made accounting, which you would think would be the most boring subject in the world, interesting.
There were 3 of us in the class that really kind of got to know him outside of class a bit, and when it came to the final exam that year, we, after the exam, now this is 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night, begged and pleaded to get Leonard Plachta to come down to the Bird and have a beer with us. He said he would come. We weren't sure, but we went down there anyhow, and sure enough, he showed up, and I'll be darned, I think that's the first beer Leonard ever drank. He drank a beer and shucked some peanuts with us. And during that time, I asked him for a piece of parting advice. And his advice to me was, make your contacts early in life.
He would always say, dress professionally, act professionally. I've seen him many times over his career at basketball games or coming to the office on a Saturday or Sunday, and Leonard was wearing a suit and tie.
I remember one of the female instructors in accounting once saying, because Leonard was known as a person who always dressed fairly formally, and she would jokingly say a couple of times, I would just love to see the tie that Leonard has for his pajamas.
He and Mrs. Plachta were quite a team,
If you were a non-traditional student here, things were pretty hard. Nothing was set up for you. You were just kind of out there. And he and Mrs. Placht and Louise set up just practical common sense things to help, like a single parent meet up with some other single parents and share information. Maybe I'll watch your children while you're in whatever. And I know that sounds like maybe a small thing, but if you're a non-traditional student trying to make it here, those things, those sensitive, thoughtful things make a huge difference.
When I was on a tenure track, kind of sweating over what I had to do to get tenure, he laid it out for me perfectly. I followed everything he told me to do, and I got the tenure without any problem. Everything he said to me all his life was honest, forthright, and you could always trust his word. You never had to doubt it for an instant.
He had a saying, when a conversation was going on and it wasn't really getting anywhere, he would say, "This conversation is deteriorating." I'm very pleased to say that in all the conversations I had with him, I never heard him say that in my presence.
Whatever he did, he persevered until he could, bring something to closure.
To this day, I keep in my office a picture, and I always look at this each and every day when I have a problem of any kind and ask myself, what would Leonard Placht do?
The qualities over the years that impressed me most about Leonard is his strong business leadership, his integrity, his dedication to students, to the university, to the college, his love and passion to teaching. And I believe Leonard is well deserving of this particular award.
And here to receive the honor on Leonard's behalf, former First Lady and Leonard's better half, Louise Placht.
Thank you for the honor that you've bestowed on Leonard. I wish he were here to accept it himself, but because that's not possible, I'll accept it in his memory. As some of you may know, I'm more comfortable with the written word rather than making speeches, so I plan to keep this short. Before I begin, however, thank you, all of you, for coming to honor my late husband, my best friend. Especially, I thank those of you who came from out of town, including our daughters, Linda and Laura, our grandsons, Taran and Nicholas, granddaughter Anna Rose, and Linda's friend Tom Lawrence and his mother Dolores. I'm pleased that you could be here. Leonard came to CMU as an accounting professor. He became dean of the College of Business Administration and then served as president for 8 years. 1992 to 2000 were years not so very much different from the ones that Dr. Ross had inherited. They were not easy years to serve as a head of the university. Some of you may recall that he stirred a hornet's nest when he told the university community that students are customers, and educating them is the primary goal of faculty, staff, and administration at CMU. When he offered to be the first state university in Michigan to take on the Charter School Challenge, the other colleges and universities circled the wagon, waiting for the idea to collapse and for him to fail. It was not too long after that, though. They jumped onto the bandwagon, and CMU, with Jim Gunner's leadership, became the gold standard for charter school programs throughout the nation. Leonard was a risk taker. I told him that. He had to be because he married me. But a thoughtful, honest, hardworking risk taker with high ethical standards, standards that he sought to instill in his daughters and grandchildren, and as dean in his faculty members. As president of CMU, he expected nothing less of all employees. Perhaps his attitude and behavior were the result of a Jesuit education. As you heard before, he had his undergraduate and MBA degrees from the University of Detroit. Maybe because he was a Roman Catholic. Interestingly, this event is being held on the same date 50 years ago that the first Catholic of the United States was assassinated. Maybe because he worked hard for any benefits he received. Maybe it was just an innate characteristic. Whatever it was, he exemplified what Peter Drucker wrote. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. After Leonard died in January 2008, I found in his wallet a well-worn clipping with the following words attributed to William Penn. Quote, "I expect to pass through life but once. If therefore there be any kindness I can show, or any good thing I can do to any fellow being, let me do it now, and not defer or neglect it, as I shall not pass this way again." I have those words now posted on my refrigerator door. In his roles as father, teacher, administrator, human being, Leonard lived those words.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling awful inspired right now, and I'm really proud to be a Chip. Thank you. At this time, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you the president of Central Michigan University, Dr. George Ross. Being a businessman at heart, a certified public accountant, sorry about that. Dr. Ross held positions in corporate and nonprofit finance and management prior to his work in higher education. Dr. Ross became the 14th president of Central Michigan University in the spring of 2010. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. George Ross.
Good evening. Great evening, isn't it? I want to thank Mike Garber for emceeing tonight and doing such a wonderful job. Thank you to Mike. As we heard earlier, Scott Pranger, for your generosity, for the Pranger Recognition Hallway, and really making this Hall of Fame a possibility. Thank you. I want to thank all of you for attending tonight to help us honor these two very special honorees, this inaugural class. Now, I feel pretty special standing up here. I learned a long time ago that none of us get to wherever we are without the help of others. And I'm standing on the shoulder of two giants up here tonight, Leonard Plachta and Roger Kessler, both role models to me. I met Louise and Leonard when I came to CMU back in 2002. They were kind. They reached out to Elizabeth and I. Louise, I still jokingly tell people that as you and I hugged and your head kind of reached me out about here, Leonard kind of watched. But I learned, as we learned from the video, about Leonard's history with the university as an accounting professor, as a dean, as the accountant who was the president of the university, who took those risks and made changes and made us better. Whom else, as the initial faculty member, will we honor tonight? And Roger Kessler. When I came to CMU and interviewed for the Vice President of Finance and Administrative Services, I sat with Roger and Michael Rao, actually outside of Michael's office with Roger, and I heard about Maureen, who'd gone to Michigan State. But I heard of his love for this university. And over the years with Roger and through today, as when he was trustee here at CMU, I leaned on him for leadership and guidance. And through today, he's still serving this university at CMU Research Corporation. I still talk to Roger for guidance. So the men we're honoring tonight, they are the foundation for this Hall of Fame. And any great structure, and this is a great structure, this Hall of Fame moves forward and grows, needs a strong foundation. To the committee who picked these two men, you couldn't have done a better job. This is a strong foundation. We build from here. And from here, this Hall of Fame will grow. And I look forward to the inductees in the future. Louise, our First Lady Emeritus, we thank you for your words tonight, accepting on behalf of your wonderful husband. And Maureen, we thank you for accepting on behalf of your dad. I mentioned to Maureen, I spoke to Roger a few weeks ago, and we share a common challenge, but he's going to be fine. God is good. For all of you here tonight, Chuck told me to be brief, so I'm going to sit down. But as Roger said, let's fire up chips and celebrate these men, celebrate the College of Business. Let's celebrate Central Michigan University. Good night, and thank you for coming.
I will be the last speaker of the evening. And before we bring the evening to a close, I want to remind everyone that this is the time to nominate next year's Hall of Fame inductees. If you know someone deserving of this award, and there are many of you out there, many in this room tonight, nominate them for the Hall of Fame's class of 2014. If you haven't already, you really need to see the Pranger Recognition Hallway. Located on the first floor, north side of Grawn Hall, the Pranger Recognition Hallway is simply spectacular. It features great information on the college, our programs, but most importantly, it shines a spotlight on our honorees in a meaningful and engaging way. I recommend that you visit it sometime in the future. Maybe it's tonight after the event, maybe it's after the football game, or maybe it's the next time you're in town. But whenever it is, go check it out. It is well done, and it's just the beginning. Well, the moment has come to close the event. After all, I have to put my daughter to bed with a bedtime story. Tonight, the story is two great people, our Hall of Fame inductees, who had dreams to change the world, and through their great effort, vision, hard work, and dedication, they did exactly that. Not only did they make CMU and the College of Business a better place, but their impact goes well beyond CMU. Truly, Our Hall of Fame inductees have made the world a better place. So, before you close your eyes tonight, please reflect on these great men and all of their accomplishments and all they have done to help pave the road for many of us to follow in their footsteps. These men have shown us that the American dream is still alive and well. It has been my pleasure to be your MC tonight. I hope you are as inspired tonight as I am, and I hope that you're as proud to be a Chip as I am. Good night, and have a wonderful evening.